This Kyogre Whimsicott team is one of the most fun teams I've played in Regulation G. Now, not only is it fun, it's also been very, very solid for me. I got top 8 in my midseason showdown. I got top 4 in a 70-person online tour on a Saturday night. And of course, last night in Tommy's Tuesdays, which was about a 100-person tournament, I also got top 4 there as well. The team is incredibly consistent, and it almost kind of has everything I want from a Regulation G team in terms of speed control, in terms of damage output. We're going to get into the entire building process and all that. I was going to jump into some games for you guys later. However, Pokemon Showdown still appears to be down, so unfortunately it's going to have to just be a strictly team report style video. But we're going to make that work regardless because I did really want to share this team. Paste and probably the rental will be down below for you guys. So if you are interested in trying it out, feel free to do so. But more importantly, we'll get into things. We're going to start with the Incineroar because I'm going to make y'all wait for the Kyogre and the Whimsicott. No, we're just starting with Incineroar because I have it clicked on. Anyways, this is the same Incineroar I have run the entire format. Okay, safety goggles, Terra Ghost with that Will-O-Wisp gives you options into a ton of the meta right now. It's one of the only reasons this team has a chance into those Zamazenta teams. It is not the greatest matchup into Zamazenta for this team. I am going to be honest. However, you do have options, right? You can go Tailwind, Water Spout. You can go just big time Water Spout without Tailwind. You can go Origin Pulse. You can go Surging Strikes in Rain. You can go Shenpao for Sacred Sword. We have options. We can Wisp them as well, right? The options are there, but sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to play around with those options since the Zammy is faster than a lot of those pieces that are really going to be doing big damage to it. However, it's pretty good. I guess you could also encore it with Whimsicott as well. That's a pretty good option too. If they try to set up and you can get the Cott in position properly, then you can encore them. It's a pretty good play. Regardless, same instant I've been playing the entire format. Nothing too crazy really happened here. Just, you know, your set 252, 76, Livindo's Groudon, Precipice's Blades. Not that Groudon is super common, but the physical bulk is genuinely nice on this Pokemon. Being able to live those hits, also nice for Calyrex. Ice as well. This is a big member of the Calyrex Ice matchup, so being able to help deal with that is incredible. Then it's just a little bit into speed and rest into special defense. Absolutely nothing crazy on this instant. But my concept of the team build was straight up Kyogre Whimsicott. And I remember back in 2022, it was Kyogre, Whimsicott, Zacian. That was the core, right? And the Whimsicott would generally run Charm or Tickle to hinder off those big Dynamax Pokemon, right? You don't necessarily get that same benefit from Charm or Tickle anymore on the Whimsicott. However, Whimsicott is still incredibly, incredibly strong. And if you guys have looked at my teams in the past, I am not a big get Tailwind up and go kind of person. However, there is definitely something to be said when you are paired with Kyogre. I think Kyogre really, really needs Prankster Tailwind. And because of my crazy hatred towards Tornadus, I figured, you know what? Whimsicott seems to do the job. Also, obviously, Whimsicott is 20 times cuter and 20 times more fun as well. So, you know what? That is strictly the reason. Like, if anybody asks, because, like, I was streaming with this team and everybody kept coming in and be like, why is it a Whimsicott and not a Tornadus? The funny reason is because Whimsicott is fun, Whimsicott is cute. That's pretty much straight up the reason, and I just wanted to make Whimsicott Kyogre work. However, Whimsicott also gets a lot of cool tools. And that is, one, you are faster than the Tornadus, which is very, very nice. Encore is disgusting if you can let it get into position, right? And then I also found it a little bit better typing-wise because it doesn't lose to Raging Bolt, right? It doesn't necessarily beat Raging Bolt, but it definitely is not losing to it, right? And I think in a scenario where I want to try to get Tailwind plus Kyogre, if I have to lead Tornadus plus Kyogre into that, and they just have a Raging Bolt, that matchup becomes horrid, right? So I think actually having Whimsicott over Torn, there is some benefits, right? You get access to Encore. The Fairy type coverage is very, very nice in this format. Big Moonblast into Koraidon if you happen to get the Tailwind up, right? You get a lot of options that Torn doesn't necessarily give you, and especially the way I closed out the team, I definitely felt Whimsicott was the correct fit. You also get the benefit of not having 3 water types or 3 types weak to Raging Bolt. Like, I was really focused on not losing to Raging Bolt here, and I didn't want to be reliant on the Rain because Tornadus does get Rain Dance. And there are a few matchups where setting Rain Dance up as they switch into Sun and clicking Water Spout is just going to genuinely be better than Whimsicott. However, I didn't think I needed it. I didn't want my team to be focused solely on rain mode. I wanted to have the rain mode. I wanted to have the option to have a rain mode, but I didn't want to have the team be rain mode. I had a lot of people also ask, where's the Archaludon? That's the same concept there. First of all, my Assault Vest is on the Kyogre, so I didn't really necessarily want a non-Assault Vested Archaludon. It doesn't feel as good, and because of that, it's like I don't necessarily need to have rain, right? If I'm Archaludon, I'm basically saying I am committing to trying to have rain up more often than not. I wanted this team to function with or without the rain, and I think I found that sweet spot here, right? So the Whimsicott and the Kyogre were where this team started. I put on Shenpao to help deal with the Raging Bolt because it was still going to be a problem. I still wanted to remove it a little bit faster. Helps deal with the Koraidons, the Dragons, right? Those three were phenomenal together. Kyogre, Whimsicott, and Shenpao have been solid. Incin and Urshifu just made 20 times more sense. I'll get into the Rillaboom near the end of this video, but this was the concept, right? And I didn't want to be the fastest Whimsicott on the field. I started with this as a Terra Ghost Whimsicott, which seems to be the normal set. Because I have Shenpao, I wanted Shenpao to have my Sash, so Whimsicott couldn't afford Sash. And I said, well, Covert Cloak is the next natural item here, not being able to get faked out and then encoring. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the ways to get out of, like, Encore is to cycle in a fake out, set something up, click fake out, and then get an attack off, and now I can't encore you into maybe a Calm Mind or whatever setup move you used. Covert Cloak, that helped as well. Also very, very nice just to get your Tailwinds up on turn 1 whenever you want, right? If I lead Whimsicott Urshifu, I am Terra Ghost Urshifu, so I can't get faked out at all, so that's just one less thing they can potentially click into me, which feels really, really nice. But overall, nothing too crazy, right? Moonblast for the damage. Encore, just because Encore is a disgusting move and you can Encore a bunch of things in. Tailwind, and I really like Protect on my Tailwind setters. I find that when my Tailwind setters don't have Protect, they fall down too easily. And I really wanted to keep Whimsicott on the field, right? This just allows me to maybe on the last turn of Tailwind, I can Protect, get Tailwind back up. It allows me to play the mind games where maybe they aren't going to target me because they see the fact that I have Tailwind. They see the fact that I have Protect. Tons of options here is all I'm trying to say with this moveset. And I opted for Terra Dark. It wasn't originally Terra Dark. Like I said, it was Ghost, and I was Ghost Covert Cloak. But I changed to Terra Dark because it really aids in the Calyrex Ice matchup. Sorry, Calyrex Shadow matchup. It really aids the Calyrex Shadow matchup. And the concept there is, first of all, the EV spread is built to survive Astro Barrage from Sash Calyrex if we do not Terra. And because you don't want to be Terraing a Whimsicott 9 to 9, you know what I mean? It's not like you're going to go into game saying, yep, my Whimsicott is my Terra here. I'm trying to win by Terraing my Whimsicott, right? You don't get that. That's not really something you go for with this team. However, there are lines where in front of Calyrex, if you can just get a Tailwind up and go Terra Dark, the Calyrex, surprisingly sometimes, just can't touch you, right? If it's the Astro Barrage Psychic Move Nasty Plot variant, the Calyrex doesn't want to be here. Right, so you're able to get Tailwind up very, very freely. Go Terra Dark if you so choose, if you need to, and then you can pivot that right into the Kyogre. But basically, speed was to outpace Tornadus. Special attack was whatever I had left over after I survived the Astro Barrage from Calyrex. And the Terra Dark was nice into Calyrex as well. It was also very nice into opposing Whimsicott. And I know it seems a little weird. Why are you Terra Darking into opposing Whimsicott? And the concept there was because what would happen is a lot of the times I like to try and stagger Tailwind with this team since I am the slower Whimsicott, right? So the first turn I would like maybe I'll like Protect, or I'll just send a Moonblast off as they take a turn to Tailwind. And then the following turn, what they would normally do to stop me is they would maybe try to go for a Taunt or an Encore into my Whimsicott so I can't match their Tailwind. However, having Terra Dark allows them to not be able to prankster stop my Whimsicott from getting another Tailwind back up. So it allowed me to stagger Tailwinds a little bit better. So basically turn 1, I had more free range to be able to either attack or send a Protect in front of their Tailwind. So help me stagger Tailwinds a little bit better as well. Felt really, really strong. I like Terra Dark. I think it's one of the best Terras in the format right now outside of Ghost. Ghost and Dark are incredible right now. Obviously other things that resist Calyrex also very good, but moving on, I think I've rambled about Whimsicott for far too long now. Pokemon good, Pokemon funny, Pokemon cute, W. Anyways, Kyogre. Kyogre and Assault Vest Kyogre was the second point of this team, right? Like I said, I was really trying to model this off of the Zacian the Zacian Kyogre team back from 2022. And what I came up with here was once again that Assault Vest Kyogre. I wasn't really sold on Assault Vest Kyogre. The Indianapolis results had proven me wrong. I didn't think Assault Vest Kyogre was great in a single restricted meta. Not only was I proven wrong, I absolutely love Assault Vest Kyogre on this team in this format now. This is one of my new favorite Pokemon in the format. And you just don't die. Okay? This Pokemon just doesn't die. It takes less than half from Raging Bolt, Thunderclap, and you still get chances to drop Ice Beams, Thunders, Water Spouts. You put on so much pressure back, and because of how bulky you are with the Kyogre on the defensive side as well, pair that with Intimidate, you can send Water Spout 90% of the time with this piece until you're super, super low. Right? Kyogre being this bulky, you are just allowed to click Water Spout. Fluttermane clicks Moonblast into you. It does about 30% if there's specs, and you just send a Water Spout. You don't care. If you weren't AV, you take about 50, and all of a sudden you get into the spot, well, do I really want to click Water Spout here? But just having the insane amount of bulk on this Kyogre, it just let me click Water Spout way more often than I should be allowed to click Water Spout, and it is a disgusting piece. You pair this with Whimsicott Tailwind, that is what the speed is for at 113. It allows me to outpace the Calyrex Shadow, as well as outpacing the Scarf Adamant Urshifu once I am in Tailwind, which feels like a very strong option for this Kyogre team, right? And once again, just Terra Grass seems to be the most consistent. Now, granted, I'm not sold if Terra Grass is the correct option here. I am very tempted in potentially trying Terra Dragon on this team. And my concept would be that if they do have flying types or ice types like a Shenpet, although granted, ice types wouldn't matter. I'm losing anyway, so yeah, ignore me. Dragon is cool, but Grass Stopping Spore is probably the better option here. Getting around redirection from a Moongus clicking Ice Beam, right? I think Grass is still optimal, but I would be interested to see if there is a different Terra type that can excel here. Because Grass has kind of been that default of the format, right? If you're going to defensively Terra your Kyogre, Grass has been your click button, right? And I think it's very strong, right? You're not weak to fire because of the rain, so it doesn't really matter all there, right? Grass is probably the most consistent, but I can't help but wonder if there is something else out there that maybe lets Kyogre go a little bit better. But otherwise, I have zero complaints here. Grass was fun, it's been consistent, but it gets kind of abused by like the ice types sometimes. Like into the Calyrex matchup, they know I'm never tearing my Kyogre. If I tear my Kyogre, I'm losing to Calyrex, right? So that's just something you kind of need to be okay with when you run Terra Grass Kyogre. But overall, I think the Pokemon is disgusting. Like I said, the bulk is absurd. I'm going to be honest, I have no clue what this spread does. I hit my 20 in special in speed so I could hit the speed I wanted in Tailwind. I put 4 in Spadef because why not? I said let's run 156 because that's going to be the second bump in the special attack. And then I just put it in bulk. I'm sure this spread does something, guys. I remember running calcs for it, but I do not remember what calcs I actually came up with for it. So I'm sure it lives a lot of things on the physical side. I don't know what the exact calc is, but yeah, when I built it, this is what I built it for, and I built it to be bulky and hit hard with Water Spout. That's what we get. Pokemon's been incredible, and the Whimsicott Kyogre core has been phenomenal. Shenpao, this is your standard Shenpao, guys. I am not a fan of Icicle Crash, but man, when it gets those flinches, man, is it good. Nothing really much to say. Terra Stellar, jolly, because I wanted to potentially outspeed those Koraidons. Wanted to make sure at the very worst case scenario that was a speed tie. Being able to remove Koraidon from the field is huge, or if I'm not able to remove it, I'm at least forcing the Terra, and then Whimsicott Kyogre can come in with a Tailwind Water Spout later on and help remove it there. Other than that, this is your standard Shenpao, guys. There's nothing too crazy. Helps deals with those grass types that Kyogre has a tendency to has troublesome time removing. Same with some of those dragon types as well. And the type synergy here, Kyogre Shenpao is nothing new. We've seen it do really, really well in previous tournaments before, beside our Archaladon, of course, but I opted for no Archaladon. And I don't like Icicle Crash. I would much prefer Ice Spinner on this team. And with Ice Spinner, I can probably get rid of Rillaboom. And this is where I want to talk about adaptations, but we'll get into that shortly. Rillaboom, this is pretty standard, guys. I went Terra Fire because I find that Terra Grass Rillaboom with a Miracle Seed, especially on the way I'm playing the team, yes, it does crazy amounts of damage. Yes, you put on so much pressure onto your opponent. I find that having the ability to at least get in their head that I could Terra is great. Going up against something like a Shenpao as well sometimes, you're able to fake out the other slot, Terra Fire, not worry that they're going to ice move into you because you're able to resist that as well. Maybe they won't ice move into you. I like Terra Fire. Having the defensive Terra on Rillaboom made a lot of sense, especially in the way I was piloting this piece. I really wanted U-turn and not high horsepower here. I really wanted U-turn and not high horsepower because cycling around with weather is incredibly strong. However, high horsepower felt like a necessity to me. And the concept there is, once again, I needed something that could be in front of Raging Bolt and actually do damage back to it, right? Now, Kyogre, granted, can do that if I Terra Grass. Whimsicott can kind of do that. But Shenpao can't, right? Shenpao is my main damage dealer to Raging Bolt, and I can't really be in front of it all that well, right? I take any sort of chip, all of a sudden Thunderclap is pressuring me, right? Shenpao is not the most bulky piece. However, Rillaboom has that natural bulk, and with the natural bulk, I'm able to utilize high horsepower to my advantage here. Maybe pair this beside Shenpao, start picking up some 2-shots on those Raging Bolts. I didn't need to kill Raging Bolt with Rillaboom, but I needed to get it low enough to a spot where maybe a Whimsicott could finish it off later. Or, you know, get a couple high horsepowers off, right? Because they just don't kill my Rillaboom. Now, granted, a Draco Meteor hurts because I'm not assault vested. However, I still think it's a pretty strong option. This spread is incredibly old. Don't get me wrong. 192 is my spot for leftovers, grassy terrain recovery, I should say. Not lefties, but grassy terrain recovery. Nothing too crazy there. I went to the third bump for the attack just because I'm Miracle Seed. I wanted to be picking up those knockouts every time I could. Basically, for Grassy Glide into Urshifu beside Shenpao, picking that up consistently, making sure I'm getting those KOs, even on the bulkier ones, feels really good. Other than that, it's just dump. I wanted to outpace my Kyogre by 1. This also outpaces the Kyogre from the Indianapolis Regionals as well by 1 point as well. Like, I figured my Kyogre was okay speed tying that because how many AV Kyogre ties am I really going to be playing? As long as my Rillaboom outpaced, I can kind of work with that. I like Rillaboom outpacing. It is a little weird getting walled out by other Rillaboom, right? Like, that's where U-turn does come in handy over high horsepower. That is something I would maybe change if I was going to keep the Rillaboom on the team. That's just something to kind of talk about. It's a talking point for sure. Other than that, standard Miracle Seed, Rillaboom, Go Burr. Nothing too crazy to say there. Urshifu, standard Scarfirst, guys. Okay. You hit your bump and attack. You go max speed because you need to be max speed adamant to outpace Calyrex. And then I went 4-4 and 92 into Speed F. And the concept here was, if they're going to attack my Urshifu, they're going to attack me on the special side. It helps my rolls versus the Thunderclaps. It helps my rolls versus, you know, Dazzling Gleams if I happen to Terra Ghost, right? Just, there's a bunch of things that helps into, like, the Calyrex Shadow rolls if I take, like, a Fake Out into an Astral Barrage, right? Just, there's a bunch of little things that help, and I'd rather have that bulk on the special side than on the physical side. It's not like E-Speed is a big thing anymore, right? You don't have to really calc for the Dragonite Shenpao E-Speed going into your Urshifu and removing you anymore. And even if I did have to calc for that, I could just Terra Ghost in theory, right? So the chances of them sending it to me wouldn't really matter, right? Other than that, moveset is normal. Aqua Jet over Coaching, or sorry, Coaching over Aqua Jet. That's a pretty big debate. I really didn't click Coaching. I did click it at my local, or at the mid-season showdown, I should say, and it did win me the game. But, like, the concept here is basically, I can coach turn 1 into my Kyogre and give my Kyogre a defense boost. And giving this Kyogre a defense boost is kind of crazy, right? Obviously, I can do some other cool things with the obvious attack boosts into the Shenpao, into the Rillaboom, into the Incin, right? But I think a lot of the times it was cool to have the coaching to give the defense boost to Kyogre, right? I haven't really gotten to a spot where I've coached my Shenpao yet, but I have coached my Kyogre. And when you give Kyogre a +1 defense, the thing just doesn't die, right? So I liked having coaching on this team. There were times, I'm going to be honest, that I did miss Aqua Jet because, like, I'd bring Urshifu in late game. They'd have, like, 3 really low HP Pokemon, and I just really couldn't knock them out that fast. Whereas having Aqua Jet would have allowed me to do that. However, I think that's just something I have to play better towards, right? Knowing I don't have Aqua Jet, so I can't really rely on the Aqua Jet when in scenarios like that. So I just got to not let myself be in scenarios like that. I think that's a pretty good way to look at it. But coaching has been fun. You can easily go Aqua Jet. You could go Ice Spinner here as well. I don't think you need Ice Spinner here, but this actually is a perfect lead up to what I'm going to say, and I think you might need to drop Rillaboom on this team. You're not going to go Ice Spinner when you have a Rillaboom, right? But if you don't have a Rillaboom, maybe you do go Ice Spinner. And the concept here, I still like coaching. I think it's solid. I don't think you need Rillaboom. I think Rillaboom is one of my least brought pieces on this team. It is pretty much only brought to change the terrain into Miraidon. And I think that's pretty much the only times I have been bringing this piece. And I don't like that. I think this Pokemon needs to go. I think I've seen other variants. Serena definitely needs to be considered here in this position, right? It helps versus the Raging Bolts with the triple axle. The Power Whip damage pressure is still very nice. You get similar stuff to the Rillaboom. The only thing you don't get from Serena is the ability to change the terrain. And changing the terrain is great. I enjoyed changing the terrain when I needed to change the terrain. But if I can drop Rillaboom, maybe put Ice Spinner on Shen Pao, and have maybe a Serena here, it feels like it could be a little bit more consistent. However, I trash talked this Rillaboom version, but you know what? Into the Miraidon stuff, it is very consistent into the Miraidon stuff, because normally you wouldn't want Kyogre doing anything into Miraidon. Into Miraidon, right? But being able to Terra Grass and then switching in grassy terrain, if they do go for the electric move, you eat that for breakfast, and then you get some health back with the grass. If they go for the Draco, you take about 60-ish if they're the Choice Specs variant. But then they go down to -2, you start getting grassy terrain back as well. And you just start doing damage back, and they have to switch off, and then you can switch off with your Rillaboom. Make sure you preserve the terrain wars. So having the ability to win the terrain war versus Miraidon is incredible. Do I think it's a necessity for the team? Probably not. I think you can get away without Rillaboom. I think Serena opting for those, well, you can't really fake me out now, and you get a lot more value out of Serena, I do believe. Although Rillaboom was fun while it lasted, I think that's just something to talk about. If you do drop Rillaboom, go Ice Spinner over here. If you keep Rillaboom, don't go Ice Spinner over here. Overall, the team has been a ton of fun to play with. Whimsicott, I forgot how much I enjoyed using Whimsicott. This Pokemon is a ton of fun to pilot, and honestly, it's very good right now. It is honestly very good right now, right? You get to go Tailwinds. If the turn matches the Tailwinds, you get to Encore them into that the following turn. Tons of cool tools you can use to utilize and win games here. I do want to bring back at some point Tickle Whimsicott. Not right now, but I do want to bring back Tickle Whimsicott at some point. But definitely not right now. The other moves are just more important. But it would be very funny, right? When you can go Tickle, drop the defenses, and then Shen Pao takes the KO, right? Or you go drop their attacks and Kyogre just survives a little longer, right? Very similar to what I did back in 2022 with my Zacian Kyogre team. With the Tickle, right? You just now do it with Shen Pao Kyogre since you only get one restricted. But Tickle is a fun move. Don't recommend it, or at least not right now. But it's fun if you wanted to like maybe drop Encore or a Protect for something along those lines. I like Protect. I've been over that already. I am gonna stop rambling. Like I said, guys, I would have gone into some games for you guys to showcase a little bit, but unfortunately this time Showdown is still down. But enjoy the team if you are looking to try it out. The paste and like I said, probably the rental as well will be down there for you guys to check out. But with that, if you guys do enjoy this type of video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and of course I really do appreciate it. But with that, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna stop rambling now, and I will catch you all in a future video.